have everyone's attention, please? Can I have everyone's attention, please? We're going to start the meeting. It's Tuesday, October 30th. It's the Educational Partnership Subcommittee with the University of Lowell. Can we have a roll call?
Chairman Lawler.
Here.
Council Kennedy.
Here.
Council Lady. Councilman Dodson.
Here.
Three present.
Thank you. Due to the hour, we like to get started and talk about some of the activities going on between the university and the city of Lowell. On the agenda tonight is the Educational Partnership, the possible campus housing ordinance for students in the Pawtuckville, the Acre, and possibly downtown, the manager's initiative, update with the university's expansion. But first, we're going to start with a motion that was discussed by Councilor Kennedy back in July 24th regarding representation to the Vocational School Committee. Councilor Kennedy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, in the interest of time, and I think everybody understands what this issue is about, I'd like to move that the city solicitor send a correspondence to the boards of selectmen in Drake, Tingsboro, and Dunstable, informing them of our potential solution to the one-man, one-vote principle, and also include other potential remedies.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Second.
Do we have a second? Councilman Mendonça seconds. Can we have a roll call, please?
Could I,
Oh, Councilor Martin.
yeah, I certainly don't oppose sending communication, but I have some concerns about the substance of that communication. So I know there are other issues here tonight, but I think, one of the potential solutions should be that the city take control of running this vocational school. And I do think it's worthy of a lot more time and discussion than we have tonight. Things are different than they were, 45 years ago. We have school choice now. There are going to be needs for expenditures. We have kids from Lowell who can't get into that school. It's not quite the same as how we elect the school committee, but there's going to be a lot of dialogue about that. So I don't mean to take the subcommittee's time with that issue tonight, but I wanted to raise it tonight because I didn't want it to be seen as some sort of sour grapes that I don't like the outcome of this vote that's going to occur next week. I don't know how that's going to come out, so I wanted to raise this in advance of that, but I think that should be one of the topics that's on the agenda here.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't think anybody would ever accuse you of sour grapes, Councilor Martin, but this is just an initial step, and so it's just to begin correspondence with the other communities that are members of the district, and that would initiate what I anticipate would be a lengthy discussion that could include all solutions to the one-man, one-vote principle, and any other way of rectifying, including taking over the school.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion for or against? Maybe, Councilor Mott, we make that suggestion at another another council meeting and bring it back to the subcommittee in the future.
All right. Well, all right. Are we going to see a draft of this letter before it goes out?
The letter is being, the letter would be put together by the city solicitor's office, so I'm sure that she would give everybody,
Okay.
all members of council before we
Okay.
go out.
All right. Thanks.
Roll call?
Chairman Lawler.
Yes.
Council Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Lady. Councilman Dodson.
Yes.
3 years.
Thank you. That part of the meeting is now closed. Next, I'd like to introduce the Chancellor of the University, Chancellor Marty Mann, who's here tonight with many members of staff, if he wants to introduce them, and talk about what's going on up at the university, the partnerships, the economic partnerships with the city. City Manager Bertie Lynch is here, and I know DPD, the head of the Assistant City Manager Adam Bakey, and I see Teresa Parks, all involved in our aspect with that part of the development. Chancellor Mean.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and members of the council who are here. I'm going to leave the members of the university staff who are here till the end in case there are questions. If I don't want to have to introduce them all and cut into our time for the presentation, but they're here to answer questions. And I do want to, just for the record, state that the university is not interested in taking over the Greater Lowell Regional Technical School. So I thought that what I'd do is I thought I'd give a presentation, but I would encourage members of the committee and city councilors, if I have a tendency to talk fast, if you have questions, rather than wait till the end, feel free to interrupt anything that I say, and I can answer a question then, or if you want to wait till the end.
Thank you, Chancellor. We do have a couple of city councilors sitting here tonight. Councilor Bill Martin, who's here, and City Councilor Rita Mercia. So if I see hands come up in the audience or on the council side, we will acknowledge.
Great. And at some point, I think the manager may be part of this because a lot of it includes some collaboration, cooperation that we have engaged in over a period of time. I thought in terms of looking at the history of the relationship between the university, I have a focus here on two things. One is economic development, and the other one is the financial benefit of the university to the city of Lowell. First of all, obviously, we're an economic engine in the Merrimack Valley and in the city of Lowell. You see we create $500 million according to fiscal 2010 figures in economic activity, have created almost 1,800 jobs. It's actually above that now, but capital spending, you can see it's a significant investment. We're one of the largest employers in the region, but more important than that, we educate the region. In an innovative economy, we educate the workforce of the Merrimack Valley and really Massachusetts. 85% of our graduates stay in this state for 5 years. About 65% stay longer than that. In an innovation economy, you need a highly skilled workforce, and that's exactly what the university does. And you can see, and by the way, I have a packet that's been given out that has all of this information for you. We have partnered, the university has partnered with the city on a number of initiatives. Just to sort of refresh members of the council, the Lasher Baseball Park is a great example of that. The legislature and state government provided $8 million, largely because the university was going to use it for its athletic events. At the time, we were using it for our baseball team, but also we were going to use it for our football team. In fact, the legislature required us to send something in writing indicating that we would use that facility for football before they would approve funding, because a number of cities in the Commonwealth had tried to get a baseball park. This one got through in large part because of the university. The university owned the property that most of the property the baseball park was on. That property was worth $2 million at the time. We gave the property to the city for this project. The other thing that I think is interesting about this baseball park is the revenue it now creates. It was never anticipated that the money would come in to the city as a result of this park, but because of the new negotiated agreement that the city manager negotiated, and these are figures that include rent, ticket surplus, added surcharges and things like that. But basically, this project, which is a joint project with the university, is obviously bringing in significant revenues to the city of Lowell. Now, go ahead.
Just a quick question. Years ago, that was the old Low-Tech Research Center.
Yes.
There was no taxes paid on that land, no water and sewerage. How much are we taking in now due to the contract?
We bring in about $250,000 a year. That's what it's going to average out over the 10 years, and that's just in the rental fee and the ticket surcharge. The ticket surcharge, of course, goes back into capital investment in the facility, and it's coming up on almost 15 years old now, so it needs some. It has needed some investment. Will continue to, but it really pays for itself. And as the chancellor points out, it now brings money into the city.
That's great. Thank you.
And you know, the other side of it is. Obviously, the university uses it without charge, so the university obviously gets a significant benefit, and the university has a right to use the baseball park whenever we want to. But my point that I mentioned, that this is a great example of a partnership between the city and the university that pays dividends for both of us. In terms of economic revitalization, I oftentimes hear folks say, well, the university doesn't pay real estate taxes, which is true, but these two properties are a great example of properties that the university owned. The university collaborated with the city, and both properties the university gave up. The state, through the university, put in, and Senator Pangiatakis really provided this funding, $28 million in investment to clean the property up, make it environmentally clean, and also to build a park so that it could be, the property could be developed privately. There are now over $500,000 in annual property taxes at these two properties. Again, one is Lawrence Mills, and the other one is the Hub Hosiery building. And I know both buildings well, particularly the Hub Hosiery building, because my grandmother immigrated to the United States when she was 16 and got a job working at that building. So these were examples of generating revenue for the city in two great projects that I think we all can be proud of. Those two projects combined are valued at over $50 million. In terms of economic revitalization, the Songa Center, where the city manager and I negotiated and came up with an agreement that really turned out, I think, to be a win-win for the city and for the university. This was originally, remember, $4 million that came out of the operating budget of the university, $20 million that came from the state, again, largely because the university had committed to use it. The building was losing about $1 million annually. The manager and I put together a plan that has resulted in the university making nearly $10 million of improvements in the building. And in addition to that, we also purchased the property next door to the arena. I think if any of you go in and attend an event, you'll see that we have lived up to our end of the bargain. I remember when the craft group had given the university some advice about whether to take the building. They said that, you know, you have to control the parking and get the revenue from the parking around it. Well, the manager was insistent that the city was going to control the revenue of the parking around it. We tried to get Lot A from him, and he stuck to his guns on it. My point is that the increase in revenue from parking here is significant as well, because when you know, once the Devils were out and we started having sold-out concert, it increases revenue from parking for the city. So I think this is another good example of that partnership. And by the way, when Senator Brown and Elizabeth Warren had a debate at this facility, it was pretty clear to everyone in this state that it wasn't just a great thing for democracy and for the candidates, but also for the city of Lowell and the university. We are connected in a way that I think all of us in this city felt proud of the fact that we were sponsoring that debate. So I think the partnership has worked extremely well here. I mentioned the adjacent lot. We have put together a reuse committee made up of representatives of both the city and the university. We are putting out letters of interest at the end of 2012 to the development community to look at possible development of tax-generating uses, such as a hotel, which is, I think, all of our preferred. We would all love to have a hotel there, R&D center, retail. We're looking for whatever opportunities that we can find. We also are looking to, in line with the spec plan, look for the development around the Merrimack River and around the Cox Circle to add to that development. Again, I think it's a great example of a committee, and it's a big challenge in this economy to develop a site like that, but we are working hard on that. The evolving campus, St. Joseph's Hospital, as you all can tell, is coming down, which is bittersweet for some folks who call us and say that they were born there or their parents were born there. We purchased that for $6.5 million. This was really not a tax-generating property for the city historically. In fact, even went into private hands. The private hands did not pay their taxes. When we bought the property, we were able to recoup for the city $490,000 in back taxes, which the city got as a result of the closing on this project. This project, when we finish, is literally going to be, I think, the most beautiful new building that we have. It's going to be on the other side of the river. It'll face the Emerging Technologies and Innovation Center, and it's going to have a bookstore. It's going to have a place where the public can come in and have coffee or eat or all the rest. And it's going to dovetail really nicely with the new bridge over the Merrimack. This is an important project, I think, to the city and the university. One of the things, when the manager and I discussed that we were going to buy this property, it was suggested that we should form an Upper Merrimack Street task force of representatives of the neighborhood and discuss with them, A, our purchase, and B, how we were going to collaborate with the city to try to develop an economic development strategy. In fact, one of the first things that the manager and the task group asked the university to do is to locate our campus police department there, thereby having a police presence in the region that would help. Obviously, the police presence always helps to lower crime and to have residents who live there feel safer. That committee is continuing its work, and we have worked collaboratively, I think, pretty effectively. So that's an important project. Another project was building a $54 million university suites, 472 suite style, 4 and 6 bedroom suites. This was designed to fit into what we call the East Campus. It's across from Alasha Park. What does it mean to fit in? It means that we put a lot of money into brick and made sure that it was consistent with the hub hosiery and Lawrence Mills that are there, but also the Lasha ballpark that was built so it would fit into that area. We were consistent with Jeff Speck's recommendations on how we should develop and how far away the sidewalks should be with the building. Again, this is going to be have a cafe that's going to be open to the public on the ground floor. It's going to have all kinds of public meeting space as well. It's going to open up in September. But I think this is a great project for us to get more of our students onto the campus, which is every housing study that I've read and every meeting that we've had with the city, we've always talked about how do we find a way to get more of our students on campus. This provides a wonderful opportunity to do that. In addition to the 472 beds here, we have something called Riverview Suites Housing. Now, at the same time we were looking at housing plans, the manager asked us to consider private developer and university partnerships to try to develop housing projects that are privately owned, that we develop, and then we reach lease agreements with the students and the university and the developer. This was a long time coming. This was first proposed many years ago. The Attorney General opposed it because of the construction mechanism that was set up through a Section 140 construction project, which meant it had to go through all of what a project would have to go through if it were publicly bid with public money. The developer went to Superior Court, and the developer won and said the agreement we had was actually legal and we could go ahead with it. The Supreme Judicial Court came in with a ruling that wasn't really on the issue, but said, you guys go back to the drawing board. We did reach an agreement, and that is being constructed right now. It's the only public higher education private development for student housing in the Commonwealth. I presented to the Board of Trustees of UMass recently, and they asked why we did it, why we didn't build our own, and we said we wanted to look at this as a partnership, a pilot project, if you will, to figure out how it works. So we're hopeful that this will work. It'll generate about $300,000 annually in taxes for the city, but in addition to that, it represents a potential new model of how university housing can be constructed or developed within the city of Lowell. So that's a project we're watching closely, and we'll be comparing this project with the University Suites project to see what the benefits are to the community, to the city, to the university, and to our students. But it's an innovative project that is happening really no place else in the UMass system. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen the North Campus and South Campus garages that are under construction. The North Campus garage has opened up, and parking has been relieved significantly around the North Campus. We're going to continue to monitor traffic flow with city planners and engineers. We've talked about, actually at a neighborhood group, the idea came up, well, is there any way that folks from the university could get out to the VFW highway in a different route. We've explored that with city planners, city engineers, the city manager, and our folks to look into that possibilities to keep more traffic off of University Avenue, but also off of off of some of the neighborhood streets there, so we reduce the congestion. So we're working at that, but this garage, it's a $20 million garage. We don't get state money for garages. We build them ourselves. We borrow the money, and our students pay it back with fees. But both the South and North Campus garages will go a long way to help with some of the issues relative to parking within the community. Mr.
If I
Chairman?
could, Chancellor Mann, just to mention for a few minutes, I sit on the board at NEMCOG, who does the planning for the area, and one of the questions I had was the traffic in the neighborhood and the problems that may occur. I haven't had a complaint since schools opened. I don't know that your police department's here, the city manager here. I haven't had any complaints. It seems things are just flowing out there just fine, and
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
This year, we've actually had issues in the past, as I think we all know, with traffic on University Ave, right in the center of the North Campus there. But actually, we've received very few, if any, complaints this year. So it has been quite smooth. That being said, I do think, as the Chancellor pointed out, I think there's some real opportunities for us to avoid some of the neighborhood cut-through traffic by providing some type of access on VFW. And it's something we would like to explore moving forward into the future. It does come at a cost that we'll have to work with the state delegation on, but I do think it would go a long way towards alleviating some of those other neighborhood issues as we do with, as the Chancellor's pointed out, with the housing that they're putting on campus now. That'll free up housing stock off campus and deal with some of the issues that we've had as a result of that. The parking garages deal with much of the parking issues, brings that back on campus, thereby, again, helping the neighborhoods. And then, as I say, if we could get some access to that garage, to the back of the North Campus, that could deal with many of the traffic issues.
two of the quality of life issues out there over the years has been traffic and parking. And it looks like both sides have really come and done a great job. The university did a great job with this, and, I think it's good for the residents in that area.
Yeah, when you grow, and we've grown our enrollment, if you look at all of our programs over the last 5 years, by about 40%. Why have we grown our enrollment? Because when you have your budget being cut, you have to generate revenue. Massachusetts is different than a lot of states in that students pay more towards their education than the state does. So we look at where we have the capacity to grow enrollment, and that has allowed us to make the investments that we've made. But if you're going to grow enrollment, you better find places for students to park. You better find places for students to house. One of the reasons why we want students living on campus, and when I got to UMass Lowell, we were a 75% commuter school. Students who live on campus academically do better. They graduate at higher graduation rates, higher student success rates, which was primarily what our goal here is trying to, we've increased the academic credentials required to go to Lowell. We've, our student success rates are up across the board, but we need to make these investments, and we're a larger university. We're over 16,000 students, and we project that by 2015 we're going to be about 18,000. So that's why the ongoing collaboration, the regular meetings, all of those things are important, because there's always going to be, every university I know of has to try to work with the community to try to solve problems, and we try to do that wherever we can. I think we've made tremendous progress just by building the two garages. One is open, the other one in South Campus will be open, as I say, in September.
Oh, nice. Councilor Kennedy?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, just going back to the student housing that's private. How many units is that going to be?
They're all apartment style, but it will have 520 beds.
Okay. And going out, say, 5 years, do you have a plan for additional housing? I mean, where do you see that going? You mentioned in your comments that you were comparing it to the one that the university had, or that you would be doing that. But do you have any plans, or what do you see as, how many additional beds do you expect to add in the next 5 years?
First of all, the 1,000 beds we're going to put online in September are the most beds this university has put online in 1 year in its 120-year history. So it's a risky proposition. we want to see how that goes, because when we build housing, or even when we enter into a 10-year lease on private housing, as we just did, we're taking a gamble that there's going to be a need for our housing. And so we want to see how that goes before we're in a strong position to tell. Again, there's no state money involved in this. Every time I deal with a private developer, they think, oh, the state will fund a housing project. State doesn't fund any housing projects. So we're going to look at how this goes and then make a determination. We do have studies that show that over the next 5 years, we probably need to add 500 to 800 beds. But we need to make sure that we fill up the housing that we have in September. And we're going to get a real test in September to see what the demand is. But also, if I may, just another part of this is that we've been working with the city to look at perhaps neighborhoods where there are a lot of students, and potentially there may be some violations of code where there are more students from a lot of different families in a housing complex. So we're going to be looking for help from the city to try to sort of encourage our students to come on campus. The more we can do that, the greater the need will be for our housing on campus. But a guesstimate would be 500 to 800 beds on campus over the next 5 years. That having been said, I'm cautious about this because we've never, ever did this before in terms of beds on campus.
Okay, and you mentioned too that when you got there, it was 75% commuter school, and so the other 25% lived on campus? Is that?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the percentage now?
It's, by September, it'll be a little better than 50-50. Now, the reason, and my goal was to get to 50-50 by this year, the reason we didn't get there is because we grew our enrollment dramatically. So even though we added, for example, we put $12 million into Fox Hall and we added 150 beds there. We've added beds in the Inn and Conference Center. We bought the Inn and Conference Center. There are 500 students there. So we've increased dramatically the number of beds on campus, but we've also increased our enrollment.
Okay, and I believe, I don't know this for sure, but I think that there's probably a large amount of students that live in the Highlands or Pawtuckaville area, but not on campus. They
Yes.
live in private. Do you know, so where are you putting them? Are they, where do you have, what category do you have them in? And do you have any numbers on how many apartments there are, how many students live close to the campus but off campus?
Well, we have some apartments that we're renting, and I'm going to ask the Dean of Students, Larry Siegel, to help us on this. There are some instances where we're presently renting apartments at different locations. We also own a property on East Meadow Road. In terms of how many students just live out there somewhere, it's difficult for us to really have a real handle on that. But I can tell you, from our perspective, we want to get as many of those students out of housing in the neighborhoods and put it onto our campus. Or in this case, if you talk about Marsden Street, put it there. Our goal, and the reason why is we have programming in all of our campus facilities that we have our housing. We have academic programs, mentoring with faculty, all these programs that are really important to student life. So we ideally would like to get them away. That's why I say we're asking the city, well, we're going to work cooperatively starting in January to bring more of them in. Did I see Larry here? Can you just comment, Larry, on A, how many folks are in apartments, and B, how many, and I know this would be an estimate, give an estimate of how many students are probably living in apartments, but they don't register, they're private apartments.
Mr. Siegel, before we start, Councilor Mercy has a question.
Well, I still have two, I still got,
Okay, she's holding. Okay, thank
I
you.
have
Good evening,
two
I'm Larry
questions after
Siegel, and I
this.
serve
Okay.
as the Dean of Student Affairs. We have approximately 350 students in one university-owned and 5 lease agreements off campus in the immediate area.
5 lease agreements?
We have 5 lease agreements with private owners.
And how many units would that be?
That would be actually 4 different owners, 5 different properties. And we have one on Moody Street, Merrimack Street, School Street, Fletcher Street, and East Meadow Lane.
But do you know how many units, or maybe you do beds?
I can tell you each one of them. There are approximately 80 students living in the Merrimack Street, approximately,
Just ballpark is,
totaling about 350.
okay.
That are within the university housing system by those means.
Okay.
I think the answer to your question, Council Leahy, is that we ballpark about,
It's
Councilor
okay.
Kennedy. We ballpark around 1,200 to 1,500 students that live in private housing within a 2-mile radius of both our north and south campus. I think that's what you were getting at, is how many people live in the neighborhoods.
Right.
And we have about 1,200 to 1,500 is our ballpark. It's difficult for us to tell because we look at home addresses and they use their parents' home addresses.
Right.
As opposed to local addresses.
Okay. And then, thanks, that's all on that, but just one other thing, and I think when you were here in the spring or whatever, I think we may have gone over this, but it's probably worthwhile doing it one more time because maybe things have changed. But there are a lot of buildings that have changed hands in the downtown. And if we ever end up building the courthouse over in the GM area, then, which I'm not sure is a good idea, but if we ever end up doing it, then that will free up a couple of extra buildings. Has the university, does the university have any plans to put an additional school in the downtown area?
An academic building?
Or what do you think about that? Yes.
They get upset with me when I get too candid. I think to your question, if the new judicial center is built,
Yeah.
then that opens up potentially the district court building, which I can envision that being an art department downtown. I can envision that being academic space downtown that would allow us to come downtown. We have had discussions with numerous developers of housing about housing students downtown, because I'll get to the ICC in the presentation, but the ICC has been pretty successful for us and for the city. So I think we would look at that. The problem is, in many instances, it's very hard with a 10-year lease to a private developer to get financing. And so far, we've only entered into 10-year leases on that property. So while we would be willing to look at developing property with a private developer downtown, there are issues of financing that make it difficult. And again, it's a high-risk business for us. If we enter into a lease agreement, we have to make sure students will stay in the housing. And just in terms of reference in history, there was a student lease agreement that was negotiated on a building downtown, private development, that didn't go very well, and the university lost millions of dollars on it. So before we determine where we're going to go, we want to make sure that we don't commit past mistakes. This was in the 80s, but it just didn't work out well for the university. We had a lease agreement, only 5 years. So, but we're open to it.
Well, I guess I think the district court and putting an art school or something there, I think is a good idea. I mean, it's, from the city's point of view, it's tax exempt property anyway, so it does, it has no impact there, but.
Well, actually, it would have significant impact, just for the record, for the city. It would be an incredible boom to the city to have our art department in downtown Lowell, as the city is looking to expand this as an artist city. I mean, we're not at that point, to be honest with you.
No,
but I'm
but
just saying, I could make a case that it would be incredible. Not only would it be, I guess if you're just looking at numbers, would it be neutral, but having the art department downtown would be a major asset to the city that cities in the Merrimack Valley are dying to get our art department.
That's what I think too, and that's why I asked about it. When I said it was not going to have, it wouldn't have an impact, I meant on as far as taxes go,
Right.
Real estate taxes. But in New Bedford, the UMass Dartmouth Art School is in downtown New Bedford, and that has a huge impact, I think, on their central business district. And so if we could have a school that was right in the central business district, I think that would be beneficial to everybody that's down there.
Yeah, I think in New Bedford was a combination of how they got that done with significant state investment too. And if we got state investment, we could potentially go anywhere. I'm talking about just looking at it from a university perspective. I think that represents the best opportunity for us to have an academic presence in the downtown right now. And I think the synergy with the ICC would be fabulous. The synergy with Middlesex Community College would provide all kinds of great opportunities. I think that's, in terms of potential, the highest potential for the academics of the institution being downtown. And, you know, the managers often say, how do we get faculty downtown? How do we get faculty downtown? And that would be a great way to do it.
Thank you.
Councilor Mercia?
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm thanking you very much, Chancellor Meehan, for being here out of your busy schedule with your staff. I'm very happy to be telling you this because I hear the talk on the street from people. Maybe you don't hear it, but they're very, very impressed with all the development that's going on, and I'm very proud of you and your staff for making that happen. You are taking a sleeping giant, in my opinion, and turning it into the 21st century state-of-the-art beacon that we always knew that we had here. And I'm thrilled about the partnership that the city manager is providing with the planning department staff to make all this happen. I just wanted to be here just to tell you this, that we're very, very proud of everything that you're doing. I don't know how you're doing it, but it's just tremendous. And so, and I'm happy that we're cooperating and helping. So it's nice of you to come here to fill us in on a little bit more of this. And I am impressed, but I do want to know, is there some sort of a percentage of the spin-off from the students being downtown in the dorms at the Inn and Conference Center, per se, to utilize the different stores and restaurants? Do we have any figures of this? I'm sure they must go into the market basket and the stores like that to do their shopping, grocery shopping and things.
Yeah, there was an economic impact study that was funded by the university and, in fact, partly by the Lowell plan that was done. I don't have that study with me, but I think Paul has it. And it's,
I don't have the study, but...
why don't you go to the... Because
I am Paul Marion, the Executive Director of Community Affairs. We did a study a couple of years ago with the Lowell plan, and we were trying to get a sense of what the impact could be from the increased activity brought about by our now operating the Inn and Conference Center. We did a survey of faculty and staff, and it was self-reported, and they told us how many times they go downtown, how much money they estimate they spend each time, and we were close to $10 million of estimated impact on an annual basis. You know, again, that was self-reported. It was, and you know, it was the beginning of trying to understand this. You know, what we need to do is follow up. You know, particularly with surveying businesses, so that we have, you know, we have a kind of baseline of a projection now, but we need to kind of confirm that. But just to give you a general number, that's what we think is potential.
Thank you very much. I thought there was some sort of a spin-off, but again, I want to say congratulations to each and every one of you. I'm so impressed, and it isn't just my opinion, it's the talk on the street, and I thought I should bring that up to you. Thank you.
I think, Councilor Mercy, also, I would say that, you know, Councilor Kennedy mentioned the, you know, the potential of an art department. That will add economically. I mean, once you get more faculty downtown and having dinner and all that, I think that we've only scratched the surface of the potential, the economic spin-off effect of the university and the community. When we grow enrollment, obviously that means more students, it means more faculty. We've grown our faculty. So I think we've just scratched the surface of where we can get. The other point that I would make, we don't decide what we're going to do and how we're going to do it just because, you know, we want to be nice to the city. The city has created an environment where we want to grow with the city. We want to be located downtown. We had a housing project in the 80s that didn't work downtown. So before we made investments in downtown, we were very calculated about it. Downtown, we think it's to our advantage to get more faculty, more students downtown, because once they're downtown, once they take a national park tour, once they go to the repertory theater or the auditorium, it changes the whole dynamic, their perception of the university and of the city. So our strategy here is to get this going. Honestly, I think we've scratched the surface of what we potentially can have.
Thank you, Chancellor. I'd just like to say two other councilors have entered the chamber. Mayor Patrick O'Murphy and Councilor Noon are now here. We we have about 15 minutes left, and we still have quite a bit. One of the things I'm going to do tonight, and it's going to be my practice, well, at least I chair the subcommittee, we don't adjourn these meetings. There's a lot going on between the city and the university, and when I close these meetings, we leave them open to be called from either side to come back, and we're going to do that again
You're not going
tonight.
to lock the door on us.
No, we don't, when we adjourned last time, I didn't adjourn the meeting. We leave it open. Both parties can call us back. And actually, we were going to have this meeting at the university.
Yep.
And there was some complications with televising, but really the big complication was the university stepping forward and taking the Senate debate. And because of the resources that the college was using, we decided to bring it back. Chancellor,
I'll
may I
try to get,
continue?
in many ways, this is the meat of the economic impact of the university with the city. We're a research university. We've grown our research expenditures by about 65%. What does it mean to be a research university? It means that we're developing and have research expenditures of over $60 million right now. It's continuing to grow. That means our faculty are conducting research, in many instances, research that creates technologies, that create companies, and create spin-offs of companies. This chart has some of that. I will say that we are coordinating with the city more effectively. The city's Director of Economic Development, Teresa Parks, has been involved in a number of the programs. We have, we were able to, through Desh Deshpande, the Merrimack Valley Sandbox has provided money to get people to be more entrepreneurial. But even more importantly than that, if we want to better coordinate so that when we have a faculty member or if we have companies that are emerging, getting through, say, level 2, level 3, small business financing, we want to make sure that we can seamlessly get into space within the city so our companies grow within the city radius. The Massachusetts Medical Device Center is presently hosting 12 medical device startup companies, 2 to 4 employee companies, graduate students. Our CVIP operation has been very, very successful. We're continuing to invest in it. We have the New England Robotics Validation Experimental Center. All of these projects are designed, in our projects, all of this research is designed to create companies, create economic activity. One of the reasons we're interested in this is we have it's part of our mission, an economic development mission. But we also today, you know, we have interest in these small start-off companies. It's how we can create revenue. We create intellectual property. Metabolics is one good example of it. So, so the economic impact of the university is in areas where you don't always see small companies. We rent space all over the city, research space that I think we're over 30,000, that's not counting housing, in space that we lease. The Middlesex 3 group, which the city manager is on, there's university representation and also Middlesex Community College representation, as well as the communities that you see located. In many ways, when you look at Lowell from an innovation perspective, from a research perspective, we think our future is in alignment with all the communities that go all the way to Burlington and Route 128. It's very important that Lowell be perceived as, and when I say Lowell, UMass Lowell, let me just talk about that. UMass Lowell, we want to be perceived as tying into 128 because that's what we do. We're a research institution. The $80 million Emerging Technology and Innovation Center is the most important, significant research building north of Cambridge and Boston, and we need to get more attention focused on it and get more of our companies working with our faculty. So we think that organization is important to the university, to the community college, and obviously to the city, because obviously the city manager is the representative on it. I mentioned the renting facilities. Those are some of the examples. I mentioned the Merrimack Valley Sandbox, which Desh Deshpande committed $5 million from his foundation. We're working with the Deshpande Foundation, the city, and the city of Lawrence, and I think it's another great example of collaboration. The creative economy has resulted the Kerouac Festival in Lowell that we've attracted all kinds of people and attention from around the world. Dickens in Lowell, we had 75 events. So we have a lot of important projects that are ongoing. I'm going to go fast because you sort of gave me the warning here that it was coming up. I mentioned the Tsonga Center earlier. couple of figures on that, and I think that really has been a win-win. I mentioned our events, 350 events, 600,000 people have been through there, high school graduations, job fairs. I know councils are always concerned with revenue that's generated, and I'm a little sensitive to it because we generate a lot of revenue for the city. In the Tsongas Center, for example, just if you take the meals tax, $93,137 from October 2012 to September 2012. The water and sewage tax from the Tsongas Center is at about $30,000 since we took it over. So there are amazing economic impacts, real figures that we have. The Inn and Conference Center, which is something else that I think has had a real positive impact on the city. That Inn and Conference Center houses 500 students, and it also has 31 rooms that are open to the public year-round. It generates revenue to the city. The meals tax at the ICC, same one-year period, $73,000. The occupancy tax, $117,000. So it is generating. There's increased parking because we're running it at a. There are more events there, and so there's revenue created there. In addition to that, what makes the ICC, I think, most important, we've invested $10 million in the building. Councilor Elliott isn't here, but you know, if you didn't have the ICC and the investment that we've made there, I'm not sure that Councilor Elliott's daughter's wedding could have been in Lowell, frankly, and it was in Lowell. We have weddings, bar mitzvahs, and it's really become an economic center for the city, and there is revenue that the city gets as a result of that. In fact, if you take water and sewage and add it up, the university pays nearly $500,000 annually, and that's a contribution we want to make. You can imagine the water. I think the water and sewage in that building before we own it, the year before we own it, was about $12,000 or something. It's up significantly. Obviously. Our students take showers, and
Hopefully it's going up again.
yeah, it's going to continue. But I think it's important to mention all of that. We talk about neighborhood engagement. I mentioned the Upper Merrimack Street Task Force. We've also done continuous outreach to groups throughout the city, anywhere around the university. We've been involved with the chiefs, public safety subcommittee meetings. In fact, when we hired our new chief, the chief and the Lowell Police Department were an integral part of the hiring process to hire our new chief. Why do we do that? Because historically, cities and universities and their police departments have not always coordinated in a really effective way. And frankly, I'm familiar with the relationship between the police and the university police. It's better than it's ever been. We meet regularly with folks from the city planning department, and I think the benefit of that has been we're usually engaged and involved in the neighborhoods in a positive way. That's not to say that everything is going to be perfect. When you have 17,000 students, everything is going to be perfect. But I think what you see there in terms of neighborhood engagement is a testament to the cooperative effort with the city and the university. In addition to that, we have our folks are directly involved in terms of coordinating if there is a problem with a student. More often than that, our Division of Student Affairs is a more effective way to deal with students. Students are more concerned with losing their housing or losing their university privileges. Go ahead.
A couple of weeks ago, I did make that motion here in the council to have a student ordinance. And I know I talked to the Chancellor, and I stopped over to see him, and I think that's something that's really going to be a great partnership down the line. I was talking to the chief of the UMass Lowell Police, who's here tonight, and the assistant, the deputy chief, and I guess the idea would be the city work with the landlords, as we always do, but the university taking charge of its students, even on off-campus housing, and I think that's going to be great down the line.
Yeah, I think it will too, and you know, we're committed to coordinating. As I say, that the police departments, our two police departments, coordinate. I think pretty effectively, more effectively than they ever have. That's not to say it's not always perfect, but we have added a full-time person, a student conduct coordinator, to address behavioral issues on the campus. You know, I think we're doing a pretty effective job. That's not to say there aren't problems and won't continue to be issues that we all need to address, both you know, the city police department and the university police department, but we are really been engaged and involved in that.
I think that's why I made the motions now, whether it's residential parking or off-campus student housing. Right now, the communication between the university, the city of Lowell, the administration, is probably the best I've ever seen since I've lived in the city my entire life. I'm a graduate of the school, as you are, Chancellor Meehan, as Councilor Mendonça is, and Bernie Lynch, I know Bernie went to graduate at U Lowell, and I think this is the strongest partnership I've ever seen, and I think it's key that we continue now on this road, because we are going from a commuter school to not only really a school where the kids are staying, but it's a worldwide reputation, as the rankings have climbed.
Yeah, they have. As a matter of fact, there are about 2,600 four-year universities in America. There are only about 200 that rank in the top tier of U.S. News and World Report, and for the first time in our 120-year history, 3 years ago we made it, and we've gone up every year since, and we're going to continue, we believe, to go up in rankings and stature, and the student body is much more diverse than they've ever been at the university. We're bringing more students we have 100 students that came in September from China, more students coming from different places around the world and around the country, because it's to our advantage to have a totally diverse student body. We have more students from California that we've had. We've invested in getting more students from California. So we're going to continue to see that happen. And yeah, I want to make a point about the collaboration, so it doesn't seem like just words. I mean, we literally meet on a regular basis. Usually I have to pick up lunch, but we meet on a regular basis, and we coordinate, and when we meet, there are sometimes disagreements, there are sometimes different perspectives, and we hash them out. I can assure you that I don't go into the meetings thinking, well, let's give the city whatever they want, and the manager doesn't go in the meetings saying, oh, let's give the unit. We really hash things out, but we do it in private meetings, and you're right, it is more effective than it's been.
If I could, we're getting ready, we're going to have to start slowing down the procedure. Before we go any farther, and I know you're near the end of the presentation, just if there's any questions comments from any of the councilors or anyone in the public before we go further.
I'd just like to say
Councilor
this.
Kennedy.
You're almost at the conclusion.
Yeah, it's just this and where the buildings are.
You know, I would just like to say this. I think the water and sewer money that comes in, that's all great. And I think if the university could put a school in the central business district, that would be good. I also like the idea of privately owned dorms. But I think the most important thing that the university has done is the Technologies and Innovation Center. And I think that what the city should try to do is use that as a magnet and get more aggressive about economic development along life sciences and in that area. And so I'm really happy that the Technology and Innovation Center that you did that. That's excellent.
I think anyone who wants that quick tour, actually, someone who graduated from Lowell High with Marty and I is Steve McCarthy, who's done a tremendous job down there.
Yeah, he's great.
And if I may, speaking to Councilor Kennedy's comment there, I couldn't agree more that I think there's a variety of certainly initiatives that have been undertaken over the last several years to deal with growing the university and really making the city identity and the universities really merge together to the benefit of both the institution of the university as well as the city. Certainly we see it as an economic development driver, and I think the Chancellor his numbers certainly show that. And I know he's also, during his presentation, stated the close working relationship of his people with Teresa Park of our Economic Development Department, and the idea of bringing businesses in because of all of the departments really at the university, but in particular the Emerging Technology Center. That building is really a state-of-the-art facility that is a magnet for businesses to locate in the area. And I can assure you that when we go out and meet with businesses, and I go out on a regular basis and meet with the businesses in the city, we immediately try to tie them in with the university and try to build that bond that will lead to their future growth in the city or new businesses moving into the city. And again, the Emerging Technology Center is a key part of that.
Councilor Mayor?
The other point that I'd make on that is, and Teresa's doing a great job, and we're trying to coordinate, but when faculty members work pretty independently, and they work across disciplines, but a lot of people think chancellors and presidents tell faculty what to do. They don't. It's a matter of trying to better coordinate our efforts so that when we have a company that's, getting an SBIR Phase 2 grant, which means they're close to being ready. We've got to make sure that we have a mechanism in place so that they understand, and the folks that are developing understand, there's a place right in Lowell where they could go, small business incubator space. And I think as this relationship gets more and more mature, we will see more of that. Quickly, this is our campus. These are the new acquisitions, the ICC, the Tsongas Center, and University Crossing. In addition to that, we have the Emerging Technologies building that we just opened, the North Campus Garage that was just opened. Fox Hall Dining, which is a great facility where the public can come in if they want and dine there. We've put over $12 million in that. You see University Suites. We didn't talk about it, but we have a new Health and Social Sciences building that we're going to open up probably in March on the South Campus. So that represents obviously a lot of construction job and significant commitment. In addition to that, we have the South Campus Garage. It'll be open in September. We have a new business school that we are building. The governor approved $25 million for it. It's probably going to be a $40 to $50 million business school that will be unique because it's going to tie in our research and our expertise in science and engineering into business. Because we develop a lot of professional masters. That's going to be a great project. We're going to tear down one of our dorms, Ames Hall, and build it right there. Science and engineering renewal. We have to invest money in our engineering buildings, and that's scheduled to get done by 2015. There's the student housing that everyone unanimously, and again, as I mentioned, that's something the Board of Trustees is watching closely. It's a pilot project for us, but I hope that it can, I hope that it works as well as the construction has gone. The new bridge over the Merrimack, we have grown, and a big part of our strategic plan for physical growth has been around that bridge. And I would just say that in our meetings, we have spent hours and hours talking about traffic flows, about what the bridge is going to be, about what the significance of this bridge will be to the development in the upper East Merrimack Street, the fact that it's going to lead the university to upper East Merrimack Street and really downtown, the fact that there'll be the great thing about this bridge is bike paths on both sides, pedestrian walkways on both sides. It's going to be a great it opens up the river. So we've planned our growth around this project, and it's just a fabulous project and when you talk about collaborate, I mean, we have spent hours and hours and hours discussing what the bridge is going to be like and what that means in terms of how the city has their economic development strategy and how we have our strategy for growth.
Yeah, if I may, just again along those lines, just to echo what the Chancellor said, I know that one of the concerns of the city council back when that bridge site was selected was what impact it would have on the Merrimack Street, the upper Merrimack Street area. That was certainly a neighborhood concern, and I think those fears have been allayed with the cooperation that's taken place, with the task force that's been formed, with the various partners in that area, with the investment in our own now neighborhood initiative, which I know we didn't get a chance to talk too much about tonight. But again, it's all tied in with trying to work cooperatively to address issues as they're out there and actually use the university's investment and the city's investment as a catalyst for improving the city as overall.
Yeah, we've run a little late. We'll get to that probably in the spring. I don't foresee not meeting in the spring. We've been doing this now twice a year since I've been chairman. We're going to recess this meeting. I want to thank Chancellor Marty Meehan for coming tonight. His staff, welcome to Lowell City Hall. Thanks for the work we're doing with the city, and good luck in the future. This meeting is now recessed till it's called by either party.